In the year 2241, the stars had become familiar neighbors to humankind. The Great Expansion had begun a century earlier when humans built colonies beyond the solar system. One of these colonies was Orion Outpost 9, a small research base that orbited a dying red star. It was not a place for excitement. Most of the time, the crew spent their days studying energy readings, repairing equipment, and sending data back to Earth. The base commander, Rian, was known for his calm nature and clear mind. He was not a soldier or a politician. He was a scientist who loved the quiet hum of machines and the mystery of the universe. He had chosen Orion Outpost 9 because it was far away from noise and human arguments. The deep silence of space felt like home to him. That silence ended one night when the station's sensors picked up something strange. The console lights began to flash in a pattern no one had ever seen. The communications officer called out to Ryan with a shaky voice. "Commander, there is a signal coming from beyond the red star's debris ring." Ryan walked to the main screen. The signal appeared as a sharp, pulsing rhythm. It was not random noise. It was repeating at exact intervals. He ordered the system to record it and run translation programs. The computer worked for hours decoding the patterns. When the translation finally appeared on the screen, everyone in the control room stared in silence. The message was short and clear. It read, "Human, my daughter needs you." For a moment, no one spoke. The air felt heavy. The words seemed too personal, too emotional to come from the cold void of space. Ryan leaned closer, reading it again, making sure his eyes were not tricking him. The tone of the message was not aggressive. It sounded like a plea. It carried sorrow, hope, and desperation. The crew began to whisper among themselves. "Could it be a trap?" one asked. Another said, "Maybe it is a prank or a strange energy echo." But Ryan could feel something different in the message. It was not a trick. It was real. He ordered a scan of the signal's origin. The coordinates pointed to a region far outside human territory. That area was recorded as empty space, no planets or stations nearby. The mystery deepened. Rian gathered his team for a meeting in the command hall. The light from the red star filtered through the large window, giving the room a dim orange glow. The faces of the crew looked uncertain. Ryan stood at the front, holding a small data tablet showing the message. "This signal was sent directly to us," he said. "It is not random. Someone or something is asking for help. I believe we must answer." The engineer, Taryn, shook his head. "Commander, this could be dangerous. We don't know what kind of life is out there." Ryan replied, "You are right, but every great discovery begins with risk. If there is a life in need and we turn away, then what kind of explorers are we?" Silence filled the room again. The crew exchanged uneasy looks, but no one spoke against him. Ryan made the final decision. He would take a small ship, the Horizon, and follow the signal to its source. As he prepared the ship, the quiet halls of the outpost buzzed with nervous energy. The crew loaded supplies, fuel, and a portable research lab. Ryan reviewed the data once more. The signal repeated every 4 hours, always with the same message. "Human, my daughter needs you." Before departure, Ryan sent a report to Earth Command explaining his plan. The response was short and cautious. "Proceed with extreme care. Maintain communication." He knew that once he entered deep space, contact might be lost. Still, he felt driven by something he could not explain. As the Horizon detached from the station, the crew watched from the windows. The small ship glowed against the dark sky, its engines leaving a thin trail of light behind. Ryan sat in the pilot's seat, feeling both excitement and fear. He was heading into unknown space, guided only by a voice that carried sorrow and hope. Hours passed as the ship entered hyperspace. Ryan spent the time studying the signal, trying to understand its structure. The language was unlike anything recorded before, yet the tone and rhythm carried a strange human-like emotion. It felt almost as if the sender knew how to speak directly to the heart. As the ship moved deeper into the void, the red star behind him became a fading dot. Ahead lay an empty sector filled with cold light and silent dust. Ryan monitored the signal. Each time it repeated, he could sense a faint vibration in the ship's hull, as if the message was not only sound but energy. He thought about the words again. "My daughter needs you." Who could this daughter be? Was she human? Alien? Artificial? The thought that an alien being had reached out specifically to a human filled him with wonder. Humanity had long dreamed of contact with another intelligent species. But no one imagined the first message would sound so personal. Days later, the ship's scanners detected the edge of an unknown system. A cluster of debris floated there, remnants of what once might have been a planet. The fragments glimmered in the faint light, like shattered glass drifting in slow motion. As the horizon moved closer, the signal grew stronger. Ryan's heart raced. The coordinates matched perfectly. Whatever was calling for help was here. He activated the visual sensors and saw something incredible. At the center of the debris field stood a structure unlike any he had ever seen. It was enormous, shaped like a flower made of silver vines, each petal glowing softly. The structure pulsed rhythmically, almost like a living organism. Ryan adjusted the scanners, trying to read its composition, but the data came back confused. The object was both organic and mechanical. It seemed alive. The message played again, louder now, directly through the ship's communication system. "Human, my daughter needs you." The voice was clear this time. It was soft and filled with emotion, echoing through the cabin as if the speaker stood beside him. Ryan felt his breath catch. This was no ordinary signal. Someone was truly reaching out to him. He stared at the glowing structure outside the window and whispered to himself, "Who are you?" He didn't expect an answer, but the ship's sensors suddenly reacted. A wave of energy surrounded the craft, wrapping it in a blue light. Alarms blared, and Ryan tried to take control, but the ship was already being pulled toward the structure. As the light brightened, everything outside became a blur. Ryan's mind filled with one last thought before the world went white. The words that had started it all. "Human, my daughter needs you." And with that, the horizon vanished into the light of an alien world. When Ryan opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a smooth, shining surface. The air felt warm and light, filled with a faint scent of metal and flowers. He slowly sat up and looked around. His ship was gone. The walls around him curved like the inside of a shell, glowing softly with blue and silver light. Everything looked alive, as if the building itself was breathing. He tried to stand but felt weak. A calm voice spoke in his mind, not through sound but through thought. "Do not fear, human. You are safe." Ryan turned quickly. A tall figure stood at the far end of the chamber. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her body was covered in smooth scales that shimmered in shades of blue and silver. Her eyes glowed gently like twin stars. A long crown made of crystal branches rose from her head, and her presence filled the room with power and grace. Ryan realized she was the one who had sent the message. He spoke carefully. "Are you the one who called me?" The figure nodded. "Yes, I am Queen Seraphine of the Vithari. It was I who sent the message through the void. Human, my daughter needs you." The words echoed through Ryan's mind again, but this time they carried deep sadness. He looked around and saw that the chamber was filled with strange devices that glowed and pulsed. He understood then that this place was not only a palace but also a place of science. He asked softly, "Where is your daughter?" The queen lifted her hand and the walls of the chamber opened like petals. Beyond them lay a hall made of crystal and light. As they walked, Ryan noticed many alien beings moving around. They were tall and elegant like the queen, but their colors and forms varied. Some carried tools, others moved quickly, whispering in soft voices. The queen spoke as they walked. "My people once lived in peace. We built cities among the stars and shared knowledge with many worlds. But a sickness has come, a sickness that takes our young. Our healers have tried everything. No cure works. My daughter, Princess Ayla, is dying from it. She is the last hope for our line." Ryan listened carefully. "How do you know a human can help?" he asked. The queen stopped and turned to him. Her glowing eyes looked directly into his. "I have studied your kind for many years. I have seen how your medicine can heal what others cannot. You use small machines, what you call nanotechnology. We cannot use it as you do. Our bodies reject it. But your designs, your way of adapting life to machines might save her." Ryan's heart pounded. He had studied nanomedicine for years before joining the space program. The queen's knowledge about humans surprised him. She had been watching humanity long before this meeting. Finally, they reached a round room filled with soft blue mist. In the center lay a small figure on a floating bed of light. It was the queen's daughter. Her body was thin, her skin pale silver, and faint cracks glowed across her arms like broken glass. Her breathing was slow and weak. Ryan stepped closer and his voice softened. "She is beautiful." The queen's expression remained calm, but her voice trembled slightly. She has been asleep for many cycles. If I do nothing, she will fade soon. Ryan walked around the bed, studying the devices connected to her. The technology was far beyond human science, yet something felt familiar. The life signs were weak, but the pattern of her illness reminded him of cellular breakdown, something human nanites could slow or repair. He looked at the queen. I will try. I cannot promise success, but I will try everything I can. The queen's eyes softened. That is all I ask. You have my trust, human. With that, she called her healers and ordered them to provide Ryan with everything he needed. They led him to a grand laboratory beneath the palace. The walls were covered with glowing strands of living metal. The floor changed shape when he walked, forming tables and instruments as he thought of them. Ryan began studying the data of the illness. The Vithari scientists worked beside him, showing him detailed scans and samples. Their biology was complex. Their cells could store energy directly from light, but something inside them was collapsing. The energy that gave them life was also breaking them apart. Hours passed. Ryan adjusted human nanite codes to fit their biology, but the first attempts failed. The nanites dissolved or attacked the cells by mistake. He grew frustrated but refused to give up. At one point, he looked out of the glass wall and saw the queen standing alone in the garden beyond. The garden was made of glowing vines and floating stones, but she looked small and tired beneath its beauty. For the first time, Ryan understood the weight of her pain. She was not just a ruler asking for help. She was a mother trying to save her child. When he returned to his work, he felt a new strength. He began rewriting the nanite code to read energy patterns instead of DNA. If the Vithari cells were powered by light, then the nanites needed to adapt to that rhythm. He stayed awake for 2 nights, his hands moving across glowing controls. Finally, he produced a small vial filled with silver mist. The nanites shimmered like stars inside it. He called the queen. I am ready to try, he said. Together, they went to the healing chamber. The queen stood beside her daughter's bed, her hands trembling slightly. The healers watched silently from the walls. Ryan injected the silver mist into the life support system and waited. Minutes passed with no change. Then Isla's body began to glow faintly. The cracks across her arms closed and her breathing grew stronger. A soft hum filled the room as her life energy returned. The healers gasped and the queen covered her face in disbelief. Tears welled in her bright eyes as she looked at Ryan. You have given her back to me, she whispered. Ryan smiled, relief flooding through him. No, Your Majesty. She fought to live. I only helped her win. Ayla opened her eyes slowly. They shone the same gentle blue as her mother's. The queen leaned close and took her daughter's hand. It was warm again. In that moment, the chamber felt brighter. The Vithari healers knelt in respect before their queen, and the human who had brought hope. Ryan felt strange emotions rise inside him. He had crossed light years and risked everything, but now he understood why. The queen turned to him. You have done what none of my people could. You have saved my child. But this gift will not go unnoticed. There are those among my kind who will not accept your presence here. Ryan frowned. Do you mean they will see me as a threat? Yes, the queen said quietly. There are old fears, old wounds. Some will believe I have betrayed my people by trusting you. Ryan looked at the sleeping princess and then back at the queen. Then we will face that when it comes. For now she is safe. The queen bowed her head slightly. You have my eternal gratitude, human. Whatever happens next, know that I will protect you as you have protected my daughter. As Ryan stood in that glowing chamber, he felt the weight of her words. He had come to answer a simple signal from the stars. But now he was part of something much greater. A bond between 2 worlds. And somewhere beyond the palace walls, unseen forces were already stirring. The days passed quickly inside the shining palace of the Vithari. Ryan worked from sunrise to sunset, though the light on this world never changed. The sky above the Queen's city glowed softly like a sea of silver clouds. Every building seemed alive, moving slightly as if it was breathing with the planet itself. Ryan had saved the Queen's daughter, Princess Isla, but her recovery was still uncertain. The nanites he had created were working, but they were not perfect. The Vithari body was more complex than he first believed. The nanites repaired the damaged cells, but some of them began to fade after a few cycles. If the nanites stopped working, the illness could return. Rian spent long hours studying new samples from Ayla's body to make the cure stronger. He had the help of the Vithari scientists who watched him with both wonder and caution. Their minds were brilliant and their tools were far beyond anything humans had. Yet they followed his instructions carefully because they had seen what his design could do. One morning, Ryan was called to the Queen's chamber. The long hall was lined with tall glowing pillars. As he entered, Queen Seraphine sat on a throne that seemed to grow from the floor itself. She looked calm but tired. "Ryan," she said softly, "Ayla grows stronger each day, but my advisors are worried. They say your nanites may not last. Can you make them permanent?" Ryan bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I am trying. The problem is that the energy in your daughter's cells changes too often. My nanites cannot adjust fast enough. I need more time." The Queen looked at him with steady eyes. "Time is not something we have in abundance. There are forces beyond this palace that do not wish for you to succeed. Some believe your help will make us weak." Rian frowned. "I only came to save a life." "Why would anyone be against that?" The Queen rose from her throne and walked toward him. Her long silver robes glowed softly in the dim light. "There are those who fear the unknown. They remember the wars of the past. When my ancestors first met other species, peace did not last long. Some believe humans will one day become a threat as others did before. They would rather see the sickness end us than let an outsider interfere." Her words struck Ryan deeply. He had never thought that saving someone could create conflict. "Then I will work faster," he said firmly. "I will find a way to make the cure complete." The Queen nodded. "I believe you will. But be careful, Ryan. Not everyone here wishes you well." That night, Ryan returned to his lab. The Vithari scientists had already left for rest, but he continued working alone. The lab was filled with quiet hums and glowing light. His thoughts were heavy with the Queen's warning. He wondered if someone among the scientists was watching him for other reasons. He began modifying the nanite design, changing the energy pattern so it would match the rhythm of Vithari cells more closely. His eyes grew tired and his hands shook from exhaustion, but he refused to stop. After many hours, he finally saw progress. The new design looked stable. He leaned back in relief and closed his eyes for a moment. Suddenly, the lab door opened. A tall Vithari stood in the doorway. It was Advisor Korath, one of the Queen's most powerful council members. His scales were darker and his expression was cold. "Working late again, human?" Korath said in a low voice. Rian turned his chair slightly. "I must. The princess still needs care." Korath stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "You have already done enough. Some of us believe the Queen's trust in you is dangerous. You do not belong here." Ryan stood up, trying to stay calm. "I was asked to help, not to rule your people. I only want her to live." Korath's voice grew sharper. "Your presence brings division. The Queen listens to you more than her own kind. That cannot continue." Before Ryan could reply, Korath turned and left the room, his long steps echoing down the hallway. The door closed behind him, leaving silence. Ryan felt a chill. He now understood that his success might bring him enemies. The next day, he met the Queen in the healing chamber to test the improved nanites. Ayla was awake now, sitting up slowly with the help of her mother. Her skin shone with a soft blue light and her eyes were clear. When she saw Ryan, she smiled weakly. "You are the human who gave me back my dreams," she said softly. Ryan smiled. "You are strong, Ayla. Your body is healing itself, but we need to make sure it stays that way." He injected the new nanites into a sample of her blood and watched the readings. The results were promising. The energy pattern remained stable longer than before. The Queen placed her hand on his shoulder. "You have done it, Ryan. You may have saved not only my daughter, but all our young." Her words filled him with pride and hope. But before they could celebrate, a loud alarm echoed through the palace. The ground shook slightly. A Vithari guard rushed into the chamber. "Your Majesty, ships are approaching from the outer ring. It is the fleet of Korath. He demands entry." The Queen's eyes hardened. "He dares to bring war to my home." Ryan felt his chest tighten. "He is the one who visited me last night. I think he means to stop us." The Queen turned to her guards. "Prepare the defense shields. Protect the princess at all costs." Then she looked at Ryan. "You must come with me. Your knowledge may be our only advantage." They moved quickly through the shining halls as the palace trembled again. From the tall windows, Ryan saw distant lights in the sky. The ships of Korath's fleet were approaching, dark and massive, like shadows moving through silver clouds. Inside the control chamber, the Queen activated a giant display showing the enemy fleet. "Korath believes I have betrayed our traditions," she said. "He will try to remove me and destroy your work." Rian looked at the screen and thought fast. "Your ships are powerful, but they move in direct formations. Humans fight differently. We use smaller group, surprise movements. If I can guide your fleet, we may win without heavy loss." The Queen studied him for a moment, then nodded. "You have my command, Ryan. Save my people as you saved my daughter." He took the controls of the tactical system and began giving orders through the Queen's officers. The Vithari ship spread out, forming moving patterns instead of solid lines. When Korath's fleet entered the range, they met an unexpected defense. Ryan ordered quick maneuvers using the asteroids around the planet as cover. The enemy ships fired, but their blasts hit empty space. For every attack Korath launched, Rian's strategy turned it against him. Soon the sky burned with light and Korath's ships began to fall back. The Queen's fleet surrounded the remaining rebels. In the end, Korath's command ship was disabled. The Queen gave a single order: "Bring him to me." When Korath was brought into the throne hall, his armor was cracked and his pride was gone. He looked at Ryan with anger. "You think you can lead us, human? You will never belong here." The Queen stepped forward. "He does not seek to lead. He seeks to heal. You sought to destroy. That is why you have no place among us." Korath lowered his head in silence. Guards took him away. The hall grew quiet again. The Queen turned to Ryan, her expression softer now. "You fought not only for us, but with us. The bond between our worlds has begun." Ryan looked at the silver sky outside. He had come to save one life, but now he had saved an entire empire. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge would be keeping peace between two very different worlds. As he walked back toward the healing chamber, he thought of Princess Isla, resting safely under the gentle glow of her world's light. For the first time, he felt that humanity's courage and compassion had found a place beyond the stars. The battle was over, but peace did not come easily. The Queen's city stood shining under the silver sky, but deep within its halls, tension still burned. Korath's attack had shaken the empire. Some saw his defeat as justice, while others whispered that the Queen had relied too much on a human. Ryan could feel the change in the air. Every time he walked through the palace corridors, Vithari guards looked at him with a mix of respect and suspicion. He tried to ignore it, focusing instead on improving the nanite cure. But he knew that his presence had become a symbol, one that divided the people he had tried to save. One morning, the Queen called him to the High Council chamber. The room was large and bright, with tall windows showing the silver horizon. The council members sat in a half-circle around the Queen. Their bodies shimmered in different colors, showing their emotions. Some glowed with calm blue, others with angry red. "Ryan," the Queen began, her voice strong but calm, "the council has gathered to discuss what comes next. Korath has been exiled, but his followers remain. They claim I have broken tradition by trusting a human." Ryan stood quietly. He could feel many eyes watching him. One of the elders spoke. "Your Majesty, we do not question your heart. But what if the human brings danger to our kind? What if others of his race follow him here?" The Queen replied firmly. "He saved my daughter when all of you had no answer. He helped defend this world. Is that danger or is that courage?" The elder lowered his gaze, but another member spoke. "Courage does not erase fear. We have lived hidden from other races for a reason. If we are discovered, war could return." Ryan finally spoke. His voice was steady but humble. "I understand your fear. My people have made mistakes before. But I came here because I heard a cry for help, not for conquest. I ask only for peace between our worlds." The room grew silent. The Queen's gaze softened and she said, "You have my trust, Ryan, as you have always had. But to keep peace, we must prepare for more than words. Korath's allies will not rest. They may strike again." After the meeting, Rian walked through the gardens outside the palace. The plants there were unlike anything on Earth. Their petals glowed softly and small orbs of light floated above them like living fireflies. He found Princess Ayla sitting beside a fountain of liquid light. She looked healthy again, her eyes bright and full of life. "You seem lost in thought, Ryan," she said kindly. He smiled faintly, "Just thinking about how peace is harder to protect than to win." Ayla nodded. "My people do not understand humans yet, but I do. You came here with nothing, risked everything, and gave me life. For that I will always be grateful." Her words gave him strength. "Your people will learn, Ayla. Change takes time. Just then the ground trembled slightly. The sky darkened as shadows passed overhead. Ryan and Ayla looked up to see dozens of ships forming in the upper atmosphere. The Queen's guards rushed through the gardens. One of them shouted, "Enemy fleet approaching from the outer system. They bear no crest. They are mercenaries." Rian's heart sank. Korath's supporters had hired outsiders to finish what he had failed to do. The Queen's forces began mobilizing again. The city's defense towers glowed, and the air filled with the hum of energy weapons charging. Rian hurried to the command center, where the Queen was already directing her officers. She turned to him as he entered. "They strike again. We must hold the line." Ryan studied the display. The mercenary ships were faster and more numerous than before. "If they reach the surface, the city will not hold. We must use the debris field above the planet as cover. I can lead your fleet from there and stop them before they enter orbit." The Queen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "You have saved us before. Do it again, Rian. I will send my best pilots with you." Within minutes, Ryan boarded one of the Vithari battleships. The interior was strange but beautiful, full of soft light and flowing designs. The controls reacted to touch and thought. A Vithari pilot named Lyra joined him, guiding the ship toward the upper atmosphere. As they flew into space, the view was breathtaking. The stars shone bright and the broken rings of the planet sparkled like jewels. But among them, the dark shapes of the enemy fleet moved closer. "Activate the cloaking fields," Rian ordered. "We will strike from the shadows." Lyra nodded and the ship faded into invisibility. The Vithari fleet followed his commands, spreading into small units that hid among the floating rocks. When the mercenary ships entered the debris zone, Ryan gave the signal. "Now." The Vithari ships fired in perfect coordination. Bright energy beams cut through the darkness, striking the enemy from unexpected angles. The mercenaries returned fire, but their blasts hit empty space. The asteroids provided perfect cover, just as Ryan planned. Inside the command ship, the Queen watched the battle unfold. Her eyes glowed bright with determination. She could see Ryan's strategy working, each movement precise and daring. Her people fought with new confidence, inspired by the human who had shown them another way to survive. But the enemy adapted quickly. Their leader, a massive warship at the center, began using pulse bombs that shattered the asteroids. The debris field turned into chaos as chunks of rock flew in every direction. Ryan gritted his teeth. "They are clearing our cover. We need to finish this now." He guided his ship close to the enemy flagship. "Lyra, prepare the plasma core. If we overload it near their reactor, it will disable their fleet without destroying them." Lyra's eyes widened. "That could destroy us too." Ryan smiled faintly. "It will if we stay. But if we time it right, it will only blind them." He flew straight toward the warship, dodging blasts of energy. The Vithari ships followed his lead, protecting him as he approached. When they reached the target, he shouted, "Now!" The plasma core released a burst of white light that spread across the battlefield. For a moment, space itself seemed to shine like a second sun. The enemy ships went dark, their engines failing. Ryan quickly steered his ship away as the wave of light faded. When the sensors cleared, the mercenary fleet was silent. The battle was over. Rian took a deep breath of relief. "We did it." Back on the planet, the Queen received the news with tears of pride. Her people gathered in the streets, lifting their glowing hands toward the sky. They had survived again, not through strength alone, but through unity and trust. When Ryan returned, the Queen met him at the palace gate. She placed her hand over her heart. "You have done more for my people than I could ever repay. You have shown us a path we never saw before." Rian bowed slightly. "I only did what anyone would do when someone calls for help." The Queen smiled. "Not everyone answers that call, Ryan. But you did. And because of that, two worlds now share one bond." Princess Ayla came running to them, her face bright with joy. "Mother, the people are cheering for the human." The Queen looked at Ryan and said softly, "They are cheering for hope." Ryan felt something deep inside him. The fear, the doubt, and the loneliness he had carried since leaving Earth began to fade. Here among beings from another world, he had found purpose. That night, the city lights glowed brighter than ever. The people sang in harmony, their voices echoing across the silver towers. And as Ryan looked up at the stars, he knew that peace would not be easy to keep. But it was worth fighting for. He also knew that humanity had taken its first true step into the galaxy, not with war, but with compassion. The long night of battle was over, but peace brought new challenges. The Queen's city sparkled in the pale light of the twin suns, shining like a living jewel in the middle of the silver desert. Every street, every tower, carried the marks of the recent war. Some parts of the city still smoked from the fires of combat, yet laughter and song had returned. The people were rebuilding not only their homes but also their hearts. Rian walked through the busy streets, helping where he could. He had become a symbol of unity among the Vithari. Many bowed their heads when he passed, not out of fear but respect. He had earned his place among them. Still, deep inside, he wondered what his future held. He was a human living on an alien world. He missed Earth, the sound of rain and the smell of soil after a storm. But when he looked at the people around him, he knew he could not leave them yet. One afternoon, Princess Isla joined him near the rebuilt medical station. The same place where she had once lain sick now overflowed with new life and learning. Dozens of young Vithari studied human science alongside their own. Isla smiled as she watched them. "They are learning your ways, Rian," she said proudly. "My mother says soon we will no longer need to hide from the stars. We will share knowledge with other worlds." Rian nodded. That was always the goal. Not just survival, but connection. Isla turned to him. "Will you stay with us when that day comes?" Her question surprised him. He had thought about it many times, but never said his thoughts aloud. "I do not know," he answered softly. "There is still much I need to understand about myself. But no matter where I go, I will always carry this place in my heart." Before they could speak further, a messenger arrived from the Queen. She requested Rian's presence at the Hall of Light. He followed the messenger, unsure what awaited him. When he entered the great hall, he found the Queen standing before the council once again. But this time there was no anger or fear in the air. The colors that surrounded the council were calm and bright. The Queen greeted him warmly. "Rian, today we honor a new age. The people of Vethar have chosen to open our borders to other worlds, and we wish for humanity to be our first ally." The hall filled with soft murmurs of approval. The Queen continued, "Our message will be sent across the stars, but to carry it we need someone who understands both our world and theirs. I can think of no one better than you." Rian felt his heart race. "You want me to be your envoy?" The Queen smiled gently. "Not just an envoy, a bridge between our races. You will travel back to Earth and speak for us as one who has seen both sides." He stood silent for a moment, then bowed his head. "It would be my honor, Your Majesty." The Queen stepped forward and placed a crystal pendant in his hand. It glowed faintly with blue light. "This carries our history and our hope. When you return to your people, show them what we are, not as enemies, but as friends." Later that evening, the city gathered for a great celebration. Lights floated through the air like living stars, and music filled the sky. The Vithari sang of courage, unity, and the bond that had saved their world. Rian stood among them, feeling both joy and sadness. He had found a family here, but now it was time to return home. Ayla approached him during the celebration. She wore a silver robe that shimmered softly. "You will leave soon," she said quietly. "I should be happy, but my heart feels heavy." Rian looked at her with warmth. "You have grown stronger, Ayla. You will guide your people well. The universe is large, but our paths may cross again." She smiled faintly. "I hope they will." The next morning, the Queen herself came to see him off. The great starship stood ready at the edge of the city, its surface reflecting the morning light. The Queen looked at him with pride and gratitude. "When I first spoke to you," she said, "I never imagined a single human could change the fate of my world. You answered a call that no one else heard. You gave us hope, and in return I wish to give you something as well." She held out a small device. "This will guide your ship and protect you on your journey. It also contains a message from me to your leaders. It is time they see what humanity is truly capable of." Rian took the device with respect. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not fail you." Before he boarded the ship, the Queen said softly, "Rian, remember this. Strength is not in power or weapons. It is in compassion. It is what made you different, and it is what saved us." He nodded. "I will remember." The engines roared to life, and the ship rose into the bright sky. As he looked through the viewport, he saw the Queen and her daughter standing side by side, their hands raised in farewell. The city below glowed like a beacon in the silver desert. Hours later, the stars stretched before him. The journey to Earth would take time, but he no longer felt alone. The pendant around his neck pulsed with light, carrying the voice of a world that now trusted humanity. When Ryan finally reached the outer edge of human space, he sent a transmission to Earth Command. The signal was filled with data about the Vithari, their technology, and their peaceful message. It was the beginning of something new. Back on Earth, the world listened. At first, there was disbelief. But as the images and proof arrived, the truth became clear. Humanity was not alone, and for once, that truth did not bring fear but wonder. A few months later, Ryan returned home. He stood on the green hills outside his old city, breathing Earth's air again. Reporters and leaders waited to speak with him, but his mind wandered back to the Queen's words. Compassion is strength. Soon a great meeting was arranged between Earth and Vethar. Ryan stood beside the Queen's holographic projection, translating her words as two civilizations met for the first time. It was a moment that would be remembered for centuries. As the meeting ended, Ryan looked at the stars through the window of the Great Hall. Somewhere out there, Princess Isla was watching the same stars. He smiled, knowing that no distance could erase the bond they had built. The Queen's voice echoed in his memory. "Human, my daughter needs you." Those words had begun it all, but now they meant something far greater. Humanity itself had needed someone like him, to show that even among endless stars, compassion could unite worlds. And so, under the gaze of 2 suns and 1,000,000,000 stars, Ryan became the first ambassador of peace between humankind and the Vithari. His journey had started with a call for help, but it ended with a promise that would echo through the galaxy for generations. In the years to come, stories of the human who saved the alien queen's daughter would spread across many worlds. Children would grow up hearing about the day when 2 species reached for each other not in fear, but in friendship. And far away in the silver city of Vethar, a young princess would often look to the stars and whisper with a smile, "Human, my world remembers you." The stars shone brighter that night, as if the universe itself approved. It was not just a story of survival. It was the beginning of a new era, an era born from courage, trust, and the heart of one human who dared to care.